Kasi masaya yung mga certificate sa mga ako syempre. Hindi, nagsige siya. Wala siya magkakasama sa bahay. Treat ako, dito 5 cents. Nasa loob na siya.
We know.
Dito ka po. Huwag mo naman napansin sa walang isip mo.
Anong sita? Hindi sa mga
Pag ano po, nag-start na po tayo, pagkatapos ng video, okay na po. Okay po.
Yes, music. Tawag daw niya si Athena sa blog.
Start na po tayo na. Okay lang. Sige, i-replay ko ulit.
Taba naman niya. Dati kasama kayo sa DL.
So, yan, na-miss ko na yung hydroponics, ay aquaponics na training.
Pwede ka naman bata, pwede i-replay ako na sa YouTube.
Na-post na po ba yung aquaponics? Yung aquaponics? Wala pa. Wala pa ako nun, hindi ko alam. Medyo maaari sila yung aquaponics.
Green, maganda sa hydroponics, lettuce. Sinelis. Salamat sa social media, sa mga technology. Kasi kung walang ganyan pa, natumangan ng mga tao, pati mga sa offices, walang magagawa.
Sana mag-ano sila, sir? Itong mag-join sila sa face-to-face para nakikita natin sila. Yan po. Sabi ko. Balik na.
Dapat na? Magaling. Four questions lang kita last yesterday, ano? Puro ni perfect. Wow, tulo-tulo, walang hinahagad, inubos mo.
Galing.
Confuse ABC mo.
Okay na.
Okay, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat, sa mga taga-subaybay ng ATI Bicol Hashtag Sarabay Channel. Narito na naman po tayo sa panghuling araw ng 5 araw nating pagsasanay sa Gender and Development na hatid sa inyo ng Agricultural Training Institute Bicol. So ang ATI po ay isang ahensya ng pamahalaan sa ilalim ng kagawaran ng pagsasaka na may mandato na magbigay ng mga training o pagsasanay at extension services sa larangan ng agrikultura at pangisdaan. So sa lahat po ng ating viewers na sumusubaybay, inaanyayahan po namin na i-share po ninyo itong programa para hashtag sarabay kita gabos makanood. Maaari niyong i-share itong aming live feed at gamitin ang hashtag na ATI Bicol Sarabay Channel. So sa lahat po ng ating nagsasanay, paki-shoutout lang po ng inyong full name sa ating ATI Facebook comment box. And makakasama pa rin po natin si Ma'am Maris, ang ating resource person, at si Tim na ating sign language interpreter. Okay po, so bago po tayo mag-proceed ngayon, ito po ay special topic on violence against women and children. So balikan po muna natin kung ano po yung mga natalakay natin kahapon. So una po natin na i-discuss yung gender analysis. Ano po ba at bakit po tayo nagsasagawa ng gender analysis? So naibigay po sa atin yan ni Ma'am Maris, yung levels of gender analysis, yung gender analysis planning flow. At kasama din po kahapon yung ating mga gender issues at gender analysis tools. So nagkaroon po tayo ng workshop kahapon at nakilahok po kayo doon. Nagbigay sila ng kanilang mga gender biases related issues sa inyong mga ahensya.
Maganda yun.
At maganda po yung pagbibigayan natin ng mga kuro-kuro at may mga bagay po tayong nalinawan. So natalakay din po yung sex disaggregated data, kung ano po yung purpose of GAD database. So sinasabi nga po na ito ay mandato under Section 36, kung saan po dapat may generation and maintenance of GAD database. So inaatasan po yung lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno, maging pribado or government man, na magkaroon po ng GAD database as source of information for gender-responsive planning, programming, and policy formulation. So yun po. At ngayon pong umaga, si Ma'am magtatalakay po sa atin yung violence against women and children. So, kung meron po kayong mga hanging question kahapon, pwede po natin ilagay sa ating comments box para naman po mapag-usapan po natin. So, sa ngayon, ibigay ko na po sa inyo si Ma'am Maris. Ma'am Maris, good morning, good morning.
Good morning po sa lahat. Siguro naman andito pa tayo lahat kasi based po doon sa ating mga questions and answers na inasubmit nyo sa amin. You are 75, more or less 75 ang active participant sa ating training. Sana hanggang ngayon, andito pa rin tayo. Yung kahapon, maganda yung naging resulta ng ating exercise on identification of issues and you have participated well. Kung mayroon pa pong clarifications or additional ideas, you can share it before we start the new topic. Siguro open na po ang lahat ng inyong but you can have it now. This will be the last topic that we will discuss. And I hope we are on the objectives and goal ng ating training. We will be now an active advocate in gender and development. Sabi ko nga, ulitin ko, we have to start within ourselves, to our family, then to our workplace and our community. Para naman mas maganda, mas maayos ang ating komunidad. Hindi natin masyadong nakikita kasi ito until na nagkaroon tayo ng learning on gender and development. So, meron na pong mga katanungan or additional issues na pwede nating balikan?
Wala pa po.
Wala. Siguro pwede naman na pagkatapos nitong topic, pwede na balikan natin kung may mga ibang, kahit na po yung mga topics or clarification from day 1, ano po, pwede nating anuhan bago tayo mag-end. So, ang topic natin ngayon ay yung Republic Act 9262, but I will give a short introduction kung bakit mayroon tayong tawag na campaign to end VAW. Ano po? Noong 2017 hanggang 19, nagkaroon tayo ng parehong tema or theme, that is VAW-free community starts with me. Ito po ay isang 18-day campaign para naman matapos or ma-minimize ang violence against women. Ito po ang campaign background. Bakit mayroon tayo nito? Ano po? Ito ay ino-observe natin annually from November 25 to December 12. So siguro timely na before November, at least alam na natin na meron tayo nito. And it is a mandatory activity sa ating gobyerno. Ano po? Ang purpose nito ay to raise awareness among all stakeholders that VAW is a public issue of national concern. It supports the Philippine government's goal to protect the human rights of women and commitment to address all forms of VAW. It was supported by Proclamation 1172 or Series 2006, declaring November 25 to December 12 as the 18-day campaign to end violence against women. Also, we have the Republic Act 10,398 of 2013, declaring November 25 of every year as National Consciousness Day for the elimination of violence against women and children. This is a reality check. Why VAW? Ano po? Bakit? Ano ba ang nangyayari sa ating society? Bakit kailangan talagang itigil yan? Ito po ang survey in 2013. 1 daw in 5 women experienced physical violence since age 15. This is an NDH survey among women aged 15 to 49. Sila po ang naging respondent on the survey. Nagkakaroon po ng sexual violence ang 6 and 100 women. The same age, aging 15 to 49. So may sexual violence. Kasi yung natutunan natin, may mga physical violence, may sexual violence. Yan po ang nakuhang survey o result ng women having sexual violence. So age 15 at early age, nagkakaroon na sila ng sad experience or nagkakaroon ng violence. 4% of women experience physical violence during pregnancy. Only 3 of 10 women sought help to stop the violence. Marami pong mga cases, kaya lang po, sa 10 biktima, 3 lang po ang naghihingi ng o nagre-report para matigil ang violence. A total of 31,580 cases of violence of RA 9262 were filed before the PNP in 2016. That is the PNP WCPC or the Women's Children's Protection Council. A total of 15,749 cases of violence in were filed by the Philippine National Police from January to 21 or to June 2017. So marami pa rin, bumaba, siguro hindi lahat na kasong reported ay nagkakaroon ng kaso kasi may mga ibang intervention na nangyayari. In 2017, 88% or 37,178 out of 42,036 barangays in the Philippines have established barangay VAWC desk. Pero ang alam ko, siguro 100% na ito kasi sabi ko nga, the ILG is very aggressive in the implementation of this. Saka ginagawa na nila itong paraan na lahat ng barangay ay magkaroon ng VAWC desk. Dapat functional na po. Hindi lang yung nag-establish ka ng opisina, wala naman ng taong trained to handle VAWC cases. Ito po ang perspective na nakukuha natin sa mga kababaihan at mga batang babae. Babasahin natin I know my rights and I will not allow anyone to violate this. I won't allow myself to become a victim of violence and I know what to do, where to go, and whom to go in the case it happens. Pero hindi ito magagawa ng ating kababaihan pag hindi nila alam ang kanilang rights. Hindi nila alam, kahit na tayo noon, wala tayong pakialam. Pag nakita tayong binubugbog na asawa or batang ina-abuse o pinapalo, wala tayong pakialam. Kasi ang reason natin, ay, hindi, problema na nila yan. But then, because of the law, lahat tayo ay dapat makialam. And marami pong paraan kung paano natin maiparating ito sa ating mga constituents. Lalo na po sa barangay, sabi ko, mas marami ang nabibiktima ng mga pang-aabuso or discrimination sa mga barangays, lalo na po sa mga remote barangays. So, paano natin ito masolve? Through trainings or at least a simple orientation, ipaalam natin para alam nila kung ano ang gagawin. Para naman maiwasan. Knowing your rights would minimize discrimination or violation of or the violence o ibang pang-aabuso na nangyayari. Sabi naman ng lalaki, I respect women and girls and I won't be an instrument in committing violence against women and children. I will be a positive influence to other men in boys and building a community that is respectful of everyone's right to be free from abuse and violence. Parehas din. Kung hindi niya alam, siguro hindi siya magkakaroon ng perspective na ganito. Kasi akala niya kasi, ano lang yun, parang na-carry na ng tradisyon na ang pamilya mo pwede mong paluin, ang asawa mo pwede mong isaktan or kung ano-anong mga pang-aabuso po na nangyayari. From the perspective of barangay, being the smallest unit of government closest to the communities, we are doing our share in attaining our vision of VAWC-free community. Our barangay VAWC is functional and residents of our barangay are aware of anti-VAW laws. Sana po lahat ng barangay ganito na ang isisigaw. We are God advocates and we are helping solve the violence against women and children. So, ito po ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon tayo ng Republic Act number 9262 or we call it Anti-Violence Against Women and Children. Ba't hindi po nangangahulugan na babae lang ang pwedeng mag-avail nito? Kasi pag ang lalaki nag-experience din ng pag-aapi, we have a separate laws. So wag nating sabihin na ay babae lang pala ang pwedeng mag-akusa or babae lang pala ang pwedeng magreklamo. Kasi we have the prevailing laws na nagpo-protect din ng mga kalalakihan. Huwag nating kalimutan, Republic Act 9262 is an anti-violence against women and their children, which was passed in the Congress in 2004, promulgated on March, and took effect on March 27, 2004. Ang tagal na po, ang tagal na nitong laws na ito, pero hindi lahat po ay alam ito. Ano ba itong Republic Act 9262 ito? So, i-detalye natin, ano ba ito? Paano natin masasabing it is a violence against women and their children? Ang sabi, any act or a series of acts by a person against a wife, former wife, or woman with whom the person has or had a sexual or dating relationship, or with whom he has a common child, or against her child, whether legitimate or illegitimate. So ito po ang coverage ng violence against women. It is anything that you do, that you inflict harm to a person, to your wife or a former wife, or nagkaroon ka ng relationship, may anak ka o wala, either it is legitimate or illegitimate, you are violating VAWC. Within or without the family, a body which result in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological harm, or suffering, or economic abuse. So, ito ho ang covered ng Republic Act 9262, physical abuse, sexual, psychological, or economic abuse. I-define natin yan isa-isa. Ano po? Physical violence refers to acts that include bodily or physical harm. Alam niyo na siguro yan kung ano ang mga bodily or physical harm na ginagawa. So, pag nasaktan nyo ang isang tao, that falls under physical, bodily or physical harm is a physical violence. Pag sinabing sexual violence, it is rape. Example is rape. Ang rape po kasi iba-iba, may mga rape na ang biktima ay yung mga minors, mayroon ding marital rape. Sabi, if you force or pinilit mo ang partner mo na mag-sex, that is considered a marital rape. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment has also a separate law, which is the 78-77. Then the acts of lasciviousness. Acts of lasciviousness falls under the sexual violence. Treating as a sex object. Making demeaning and sexually suggestive remarks is also a sexual violence. Physical attacking the sexual parts. And forcing him to watch obscene publications and indecent shows. Forcing the woman or her child to do indecent acts and or make films thereof. Forcing the wife and mistress or lover to live in the conjugal home or sleep together in the same room with the abuser. Or causing or attempting to cause the victim to engage in any sexual activity by force, threat of force, or coercion. And prostituting the woman or child. Those are examples of sexual violence. Madami. Sabi ko nga, ang pilitin mo ang partner mo is an example of sexual violence. Ang pilitin kang gumawa ng any sexual activity by force or threat of force or coercion. Prostituting the woman or child. may mga ano po, may mga cases kasi nito na hindi natin na kikita o hindi natin inaaksyonan sa ating barangay. Kasi akala natin, gusto man nila eh. But then, may mga any act na result to violence is falling under the sexual abuse. Then we have the psychological violence. Sexual violence is mental or emotional suffering of the victim, such as but not limited to intimidation, harassment, stalking, damage to property, public ridicule or humiliation, repeated verbal abuse, and marital infidelity. Marital infidelity is an example of psychological violence. Ano po? And nagkakaroon din ng sa mag-asawa, may mga cases kasing yung tunay na partner or ng babae, pinagsasama tsaka yung mistress niya sa isang bahay or isang room, marami ka na dyan na nakukumit. You are committing psychological and sexual violence. Economic abuse, pag sinabi natin economic, that has something to do with financial. Ano po? Make or attempt to make a woman financially dependent, like withdrawal of support, of financial support, or preventing the victim from engaging in any legitimate profession, occupation, business, or activity, except in cases wherein the other spouse, partner, objects on valid, serious, and moral grounds. So, withdrawal of financial support. Number 2, deprivation or threat of deprivation of financial resources and the right to the use and enjoyment of the conjugal community or property owned in common. So, siguro isang nakita na doon ng kaya baga doon lang sa titling of land, dapat po andoon na yung pangalan ng asawa kasi kung minsan ginagamit, nangyayari din ito. Yung mga nawawala ng resources dahil pwedeng, wala ka na dito kasi ang property nga ay nasa pangalan lang ng isa o ng lalaki. If we destroy household property, that is an example of economic abuse. Controlling the victim's own money or properties or solely controlling the conjugal money or properties. Ito mga naman, ito po ang iba mga self-explanatory, pero pag naman, hindi naman tayo ang kung may mga problema, may mga abogado naman na nito, nag-guide sa atin. Then, also may mga terms tayo dito, battery. Ano ba yung battery? Hindi yung battery yung ginagamit natin pag It refers to an act of inflicting physical harm upon the woman or her child resulting to the physical and psychological or emotional distress. Battery, kung natin, may mga battered wife. Ano po? Kasama yung mga anak sa binubugbog. Ang the easiest way to understand this is pangbubugbog sa asawang babae. And kasama yung mga bata. This is also a violence. Kaya ito ang mga natin, isa itong issue na dapat tingnan lalo na po ang sa mga lokal na gobyerno. Kaya ang DSWD ay very particular on this. May dapat may record tayo nito. Namomonitor natin ito, ilan ba ang battered wife? Kasi from this is a very common issue in the locality na pwede nating bigyan pansin doon sa ating POPs. Battering or battered wife. Kasi may mga ano ito eh. This is the very common example na nakukuha natin on economic abuse. Kasi pag tiningnan natin, hindi lang, usually pag may battering na nangyayari sa lokal na gobyerno, ang ginagawa lang natin ay nagkaroon tayo ng counseling. It is not enough na magkakaroon tayo ng counseling. Or, ang iba naman ay hindi reported. Kasi ang sabi, hindi nila alam. Hindi alam ng mga kababaihan. So, ang pinaka-solution po dito, we expose them to training. Na ito, pag ikaw binugbog, it is one of the violence na nangyayari. Very common kaya po ito sa mga familya, sa barangay. Hindi ito pwedeng hindi nangyayari sa atin, individually or personally, but if you look around our neighbors, our mga maski nangani po sa ating kaopisina, alam ko nangyayari ito. Hindi lang natin alam na isa pala ito sa under the Republic Act 9262. So, isa ito sa mga rason kung bakit dapat i-expose natin ang lahat nating clients and constituents on, lalo na po, or at least on the basic gender sensitivity training. Kasi isa ito sa pinag-uusapan. And this is one of the issues, gender issue, violence against women, that can be included or that can be given priority sa ating mga GAD plans and our PAPs. Then meron tayo ditong term na isang battered woman syndrome. Ano nga daw ito? It refers daw to a scientifically defined pattern of psychological and behavioral symptoms found in women living in battering relationship as a result of cumulative abuse. So, ang babae pala, pag lagi-lagi nang ina-experience itong psychological abuse, kasi sabi ito sa sexual abuse, pwedeng nangyayari because of hindi mo na pagbibigyan yung pang-aano ng ating partner that resulted to battering. Pag permi-permi ka nang nag-i-experience nito, ang mga babae o yung mga laging nabubugbog ay nagkakaroon na ng battered woman syndrome. Dahil as a result of cumulative abuse. Nakakaawa, ano po. And, balikan natin yung sa battering. Sabi ko nga, it is not enough na nag-counseling ka lang. Because, if you look at this, ito po ay vicious cycle. Ano? Kahit na binubugbog ang nanay, ang tendency ay hindi iiwan ang pamilya o ang mga anak. Bakit? Sometimes it is because of economic dependence. Ano, masyadong dependent yung mga nanay sa asawa. So kahit na binubog siya araw-araw, hindi niya iiwan, ayaw niyang magutom yung mga anak. Ang kanyang mga anak ay ayaw niyang until the time na nagkakaroon na siya ng syndrome or battered woman syndrome. So, if we have the correct data of this one, help natin, mariresolve natin ang problemang ito by giving them priority on the livelihood programs that we have. So, marami po makukuha na tayong mga, if we know kung paano natin ma-identify yung mga gender biases and gender issues in our community or locality. Then we have stalking. No. Stalking, sabi, may stalker ngaya ako, mama. Sino ba ito? And it is a violence, ano po, or it is an abuse. Intentional act committed by a person who knowingly and without lawful justification follows the woman or her child or places the woman or her child under surveillance, directly or indirectly or a combination thereof. Yung mga sige mong pinagsusundan mo kahit saan, ang committed crime dyan ay stalking. And so, the Section 5 of that 9262, ito po, acts of violence against women and their children committed through any of the following acts. Ito po sa baba ay 20 years. Ito po, ilang taon ang punishment or penalty pag na-prove na ikaw ay nag-commit nito. Tingnan natin. If you are causing physical harm, the penalty or imprisonment is 20 years. Ano po? If proven that you are committing that act. Threatening to cause physical harm is also 20 years. Attempting to cause physical harm. Placing the woman in fear of imminent physical harm. 20 years also. Attempting to compel or compelling to engage in conduct which the woman or her child has the right to desist from, or attempting to restrict or restricting the woman's or her child's freedom of movement or conduct by force. So if there is coercion na ma-prove sa court na there is really coercion and threat of physical or other harm, that falls under the 20-year imprisonment or penalty. Threatening to deprive or actually depriving the woman or her child of custody to her or his family. I-discuss natin yan kung paano yan. Ano po? Then, depriving or threatening to deprive the woman or her child of a legal right. Preventing the woman in engaging in any legitimate profession, occupation, business or activity, or controlling the victim's own money or properties, or solely controlling the conjugal or common money or properties. Ito po. Conjugal or common properties. Then the last na ano po sa violence that would fall under the 20 years imprisonment, inflicting or threatening to inflict physical harm on oneself for the purpose of controlling her actions or decisions. Letter G, causing or attempting to cause the woman or her child to engage in any sexual activity which does not constitute rape by force or threat of force, physical harm, or through intimidation directed against the woman or her child or his immediate family falls under 10 years. Engaging in purposeful, knowing, or reckless conduct, personally or through another, that alarms or causes substantial emotional or psychological distress. Pag nag-cause pala ng alarm or cause substantial emotional or psychological distress is also a violence that falls under 10 years. Stalking or following the woman or her child in public or private places. Peering in the window or lingering outside the residence of the woman or her child. Akala natin hindi ito violence. Ano po? Hindi ito crime. Pag proven pala, it is also a crime. That falls under 10 years. Para rip mo ang mga neighbor mo or ang kursonada mo. Pag nag-cause na po yan ng stress sa or because you are having, parang magkakaroon ng danger, po. Entering or remaining in the dwelling or on the property of the woman or her child against her or his will. Destroying the property and personal belongings or inflicting harm to animals or pets. Pati po yung belongings and animals that also under the 10 years penalty or imprisonment. Dalawa ang problema mo niyan kasi yung mga animal welfare groups, pwede ka pa rin kasuhan. Ano po? You are inflicting animals or the pets of your neighbor or your partner. Engaging in any form of harassment or violence. engaging in any form of harassment. 10 years then causing mental or emotional anguish, but not limited to repeated verbal and emotional abuse. Halimbawa, pinagmumura mo yung anak mo or yung partner mo, or denial of financial support or custody of minor children, of access to the woman's child or children. You are causing emotional anguish, that is 10 years. Aside from imprisonment, Section 6, mahaba po itong mga pero nag-pull out lang tayo ng yung mga pwede nating maintindihan. Kasi pag ganitong mga Republic Act, ang nag-i-interpret nito, dapat talaga yung mga taong may mga legal minds. We're only giving you the overview of the law. The Section 6 are the penalties. Aside from imprisonment, you have also there is also a penalty. Ang tawag daw doon sa arresto mayor ay yung may mga penalty na 1 month and 1 day to 6 months. Then prison correctional, 6 months and 1 day to 6 years. Prison mayor is 6 years and 1 day to 12 years. So, mabigat pala pag itong mga yung violence against women ay nakakommit ka, kasi aside from the imprisonment, you have also your penalties. If the acts are committed while the woman or child is pregnant or committed in the presence of her child, the penalty to be applied shall be the maximum period of penalty prescribed in this section. So, if crime is committed or act with this situation, ang magiging mong penalty ay yung 6 years and 1 day to 12 years. Naka-stipulate po yan sa Republic Act. In addition to imprisonment, the perpetrator shall pay a fine in the amount of not less than 100,000 pesos, but not more than 300,000 pesos. And he should undergo mandatory psychological counseling or psychiatric treatment and shall report compliance to the court. So aside from imprisonment, you will have your penalties, then you have also your monetary damages, or we call it the moral damages. Then Section 8 is the protection orders. A protection order daw is an order issued for the purpose of preventing further acts of violence against a woman or her child and granting other necessary relief. Ano po? So, nag-i-issue pag nag-seek ng yung mga victims, ang purpose po ng protection order is para maiwasan yung further acts of violence. Isi-save mo na siya from the situation kaagad and to grant them necessary relief. Ano po? The relief granted under a protection order serve the purpose of safeguarding the victim from further harm. Ano po? So, protection order ay, kumbaga, temporary lang yan. To minimize disruption in the victim's daily life and to facilitate the opportunity and ability of the victim to independently regain control over her life. Iba-ibang klase ang protection orders. We have the barangay protection order, we have the temporary protection order, then we have the permanent protection order. Sino daw ang pwedeng mag-file? Who may file petition for protection orders? Ang una po ay offended party. Sino yan? Yung biktima, yung nanay o yung anak. Pero pag minor, siyempre yung nanay. Sino pa? May mga iba-ibang pwedeng mag-file. we have the parents or guardians of the offended party. Kasi lalo na po pag bata or minor, hindi siya nag-aalam. Kasi if we look at our records po sa cases of rape, marami po ang minors, mga bata. Nakita nga na ako sa report, 5 months na biktima. It is because of some situations or economic reasons. Usually, napapabayaan ng mga magulang. So, there comes na, tingnan natin, siguro ito ang pinakarason kung bakit dapat talaga ma-implement natin ang gender and development. Kahit hindi na po gender and development, yung mga iba-ibang programa natin sa ating barangay, lalo na po sa mga barangay levels, sa LGUs, marami tayong makukuha nito. And also, present man din ang mga ibang-iba itong problema sa mga government agencies. Then we have ascendants or descendants or collateral relatives within the first civil degree of consanguinity or affinity. Officers or social workers of the DSWD or social workers of local government units. You can file a petition for protection orders. Then public officers, police officers, preferably those in charge of women and children's desks. Kasi sa PNP may sila dyan, may police officers who are in charge of the women and children's problems, or we have the women and children's desks in the PNP. Punong barangay or barangay kagawad. Lawyer, counselor, therapist, or healthcare provider of the petitioner. At least 2 concerned responsible citizens of the city or municipality where the violence against women and children occurred and who has personal knowledge of the offense committed. So marami ang pwedeng mag-file, pero ang importante, ang magpa-file yung talagang may actual, hindi yung hearsay. Persons who have personal knowledge of the offense committed. Kasi kung minsan, istorya na lang, hearsay, hindi accurate ang ibinibigay na data or information. And you are not allowed to file for protection orders. Ito ang enforceability of protection orders. All temporary protection orders and permanent protection orders issued under this act shall be enforceable anywhere in the Philippines. In a violation thereof shall be punishable with a fine ranging from 5,000 to 50,000 and or imprisonment of 6 months. Pag hindi ito inaksyonan o dainingan, may penalty din ang mag-i-issue pag hindi na implement or na enforce. Sino daw ang pwedeng mag-issue? If issued by may be issued by punong barangay, any available barangay kagawad, effective for 15 days. So the prescriptive period, kung nangyari ang case o ang problema, it must be, or na-issue ang protection orders, it is only effective for 15 days. Ano po? Priority of application for a protection order. Applications for a protection order under this act shall have priority over all other proceedings. Ano po? Dapat po bigyan ito ng priority in order to minimize or to dain na ma-prolong ang problema ng mga victims. Barangay officials and the court shall, if necessary, suspend other proceedings in order to hear applications for a protection order. So this is an order na this should be given most priority or number one priority. You can suspend other proceedings kung mayroon protection order or application of barangay order, protection orders in your barangay or in the courts. Violation of a BPO shall be punishable by imprisonment of 30 days without prejudice to any other criminal or civil action that the offended party may file for any of the acts committed. So, mayroon pong may pag na-violate ito, it is punishable within 30 days. A judgment of violation of a BPO may be appealed according to the rules of court. May mga korte po na nag-a-attend to this. Violation of any provision of a TPO or PPO. Ang TPO po ay Temporary Protection Order. Ano po? Then the PPO is the Permanent Protection Order. Issued under this act shall constitute contempt of court, punishable under Rule 75 of the Rules of Court without prejudice to any other criminal or civil action that the offended party may file for any of the acts committed. So, ini ang mga pwedeng idagdag pang mga kaso. The prescriptive period. Ano na ang prescriptive period? Acts falling under Section 5 to F shall prescribe in 20 years. Acts falling under. Ito na po yung mga ano-ano ba ang mga kaso or mga violations na nag-fall duman sa Section 5 and Section 8 to 5F. Kasi makikita natin duman na may 20 years, may 5 years. So, depende yan kung ano ang klaseng kaso. Ito po ang susundin. You have the prescriptive period na po. Ang violence against women daw po is considered a public crime. Ano po? Violence against women and their children shall be considered a public offense which may be prosecuted upon the filing of a complaint by any citizen having personal knowledge of the circumstances involving the commission of the crime. Sino yung mga kaya in-identify po doon, sino ang pwedeng mag-file? Ano po? Sino ang pwedeng mag-report ng kaso? Or mag-file ng protection order? Parehas din yun. Any individual na having a personal knowledge of the circumstances involving the commission of the crime is qualified or is considered, it is accepted by the law. So kung sabi ko nga, pag hearsay, wag na kayong makialam. Kasi ang kailangan doon talaga ay yung exact information regarding the case that will be filed against the perpetrators. Ito po, sa custody of children. The woman victim entitled to the custody in support of her child or children. Children below 7 years old, older, but with mental or physical disability shall automatically be given to the mother with right to support unless the court finds compelling reasons to order otherwise. Siguro lahat alam natin. Pero may mga conditionalities. Pero pag may mga ibang reasons pa na makuha ang court, pwedeng alisin sa custody ng nanay. Pero generally, pag below 7 years old, dapat nasa nanay. Provided that he is mentally and physically able. Ano po? So, nasa law natin yan. Ang court lang ang pwedeng mag-decide and kung who will be the saan ba pupunta yung anak na below 7 years old? Kung sa tatay or sa nanay, to the mother or to the father or other members of the family. Ito po ang mga prohibited acts. Punong barangay, barangay kagawad, or the court shall not order, direct, force, or in any way unduly influence the applicant for a protection order to compromise or abandon any of the relief sought in the application for protection under this act. Dapat hindi na-influence o na puwersa ang complainant. Ano po? Baka sabi mo, sige na, mag-file ka. Ang buo niyang asawa mo or what. There should not be coercion or dapat itong kagustuhan ng babae na talagang maiakusa or ma-file ng case. Kasi nakikita din yan. Kasi pag may mga din yan, may mga, anong tawag doon, may mga hearings, may mga, mga maagi ng dadaan ng proseso. Pag sa korte na, nalabas yan lahat kasi may mga techniques na makuha natin yan. Failure to comply with this section shall render the official or judge administratively liable. So may administrative liability din kung ang mga officials ay na-influence on the application for a protection order. Persons intervening exempt from liability. Any person, private individual, or police authority or barangay official who, acting in accordance with law, responds or intervenes without choosing violence or restraint greater than necessary to ensure the safety of the victim, shall not be liable for any criminal, civil, or administrative liability resulting therefrom. Yes. Damages. Any victim of violence under this act shall be entitled to actual, compensatory, moral, and exemplary damages. Kaya naka-stipulate po doon na enumerate alin yung mga under the 20 years imprisonment or then you have the different penalties. May compensatory damages pa and moral and exemplary damages. Ang mga babae daw na biktima nito are may mga leave entitlements na parang special leave na pwedeng i-avail. Ano po? Ang sabi, victims under this act shall be entitled to take a paid leave of absence up to 10 days in addition to other paid leaves under the Labor Code and Civil Service rules and regulations extendable when the necessity arises as specified in the protection order. So aside from your regular sick leave, then we have the yung iba-ibang leave as mandated by the law, mayroon pa tayong entitled ka pa ng leave of absence up to 10 days. Kahit hindi tayo nito maka-avail, basta wala ang violence sa atin. Confidentiality. All records pertaining to cases of violence against women and their children, including those in the barangay, shall be confidential. And all public officers and employees and public or private clinics to hospital shall respect the right to privacy of the victim. So, all records or kahit na anong information should be confidential. In fact, we have the existing Private Data Privacy Act. So, pare-parehas na yan. May mga data na hindi mo dapat i-divulge. So, kung ito dapat pag nagkaroon ng report sa barangay or to any other to police officers, all records of the victim should be confidential. You have to respect the right to privacy of the victim. Hindi yung paglabas sa police office and sa opisina ng barangay, lahat ng tao nag-alam na ng problema mo. That is punishable under the law. Whoever publishes or causes to be published in any format, the name, address, telephone number, school, business address, employer or other identifying info of a victim or an immediate family member without the latter's consent shall be liable to the contempt power of the court. So, ang immediate case na marireceive ng any person na nagdi-divulge ng information of the victim can be charged of contempt of court. So, ang tanong dito, what will you do? What shall we do? That is the last slide of our discussion. What will you do? This is a big question. Sabi, I vow to fight vow. Ano po? But how can we stop this? Or how can we minimize this? Siguro the first way na ma-minimize natin is through educating our people, educating our clients, our constituents, and ang community to end this. Kasi dapat malaman nila na yung karapatan mo. Later na yung mga punishment. The first thing or the most important thing to do is to educate them na mayroon pala tayong karapatan. Kasi doon sa pag-umpisa natin ng gender in development, hindi lang economic empowerment ang GAD, but GAD is human rights. Knowing and exercising your rights as a woman, as a man, as a boy, and as a girl. So all this will redound to proper education sa lahat nating mga kasamahan umpisa tayo sa pamilya. Kasi kung titingnan natin, yung lahat na yun ay starts with domestic violence. And again, when we say domestic, pamilya. Ano po? Pang-pamilya. So, what will we do in order to stop or to minimize violence against women is to fight VAW. But we cannot fight VAW or violence against women if wala tayong alam ano ba ang ating karapatan, ano ba ang dapat gagawin, and sabi nga, it is obligasyon natin. Proteheran ang kahit hindi mo kapamilya, pag nakikita mong mayroon kang nakikitang binubugbog or inaabuso, we have to, makialam. Iba na yan, kasi noon, sabi ko nga, ulit-ulit talaga ito, kasi yan ang kailangan sa natin. Noon, pag nag-aaway ang binubugbog ang anak, walang pakialam. Tingnan natin, ngayon with the advent of God, kahit na yung mga nakita natin last year, yung batang binubugbog ng ama doon sa Manila Bay, nireport ng mga nakakakita anong ginawa. Hinuli yung ama, inano yung anak. Kasi, ang ibig sabihin noon po, na lahat tayo may karapatan na iproteher ang kapwa through this concern or sa advocacy pong ito. Saka hindi naman talaga dapat i-observe natin kahit na anong aspeto ng ating buhay, wag nating kalimutan yung human rights. Kaya yan ang basic po. Kasi pag nasa puso natin yan, maganda yung natin, sa loob ng pamilya pa lang maganda na. So, we radiate to paglabas natin sa community, sa workplace, nadadala natin yan. Noon, akala ko, pag pinilit ka, okay lang. Yan pala kasalanan or that is a violence. And so, dapat alam mo kung ano ang pangangailangan ng partner mo, ng mga anak mo, ng kapwa kaopisina mo, then papasok na naman po yung human aspirations na to be with, to be for. No? Kasi yun talaga yung ang proseso kasi dapat dito. Malaman natin para makuha natin kung ano ang pinaka-objeto or pinaka-objective. Kasi sabi nga, the goal of gender in development is to have equality among or between men and women, then for empowerment. Kasi I remember yung sabi ng mga mayors when we had nagiging ko po yan na example. Kasi sa ibang tayo noon, ang practice natin ay, sabi nga nila, sana tayong training, but hindi natin na-improve and we do not reduce poverty sa ating komunidad. So kung pupunuin daw natin ang ulo o ang natin ng training, punuin din ang bulsa. No po? So through trainings, we go hand in hand, maa-attain natin yung objective sa GAD. Parehas po dito sa VAW. Habang kasing may naaapi, hindi titigil ang kampanya ng gender and development. Kasi gender in development goes in hand with human rights of everyone. So, ang question dito, what will you do? So, I vow to fight VAW. Stop violence against women. Dagdag na natin, kasi sabi nga, hindi lang babae ang binubugbog. May tanong, sabi sa akin noon, ma'am, bakit puro na siya ng babae? Kasi sabi ko nga, mayroon na tayong mga laws na nakalaanan din sa mga lalaki. Halimbawa, ang lalaki binubugbog ng asawang babae, anong gagawin mo? Pwede mo rin i-akusa yung babae. Kasuhan mo ng physical injury. Depende sa gravity kung slight or grave threat or grave physical injury. So, andoon na yan. Kaya ang sabi ng iba, wag na tayo mag-GAD. Lahat naman lang yan babae. Kasi hindi natin alam kung ano ba talaga ang gender and development. So, ito po ang in line with this sa 9262 ang unang kung titingnan natin, dapat mayroon tayong VAW desk present in the barangay and other agencies. Hindi lang yan po, pang lokal na gobyerno. Ano po? Pang lahat, kalahatan po dapat may VAW desk officer. Kaya nga may mga doon sa GAD focal point system, dapat na po yan, na ibibigay yan. Importante. And also sabi dito sa slide, you have to prevent child abuse. Kawawa naman, batang-bata, biktima na ng violence against women and children. Infant pa lang na bibiktima na ng rape, nabibiktima na ng physical abuse. Sabi nga ni Kayan, kung ano daw ang na-experience ng bata sa loob ng pamilya na dadala yan. Kaya yung battering of isang po dyan na very common talaga, yung pangbubugbog sa asawa. Kasi yung sa pamilya, pag nakikita o na-experience ng mga anak na binubugbog ang kanilang nanay, paglaki nila akala, na yun, customary practice na ng mag-asawa. Ano po? Sabi ko nga Kayan, may personal, ang pag-aasawa kasi hindi yung palakasan kung sino ang matibay or sino ang magaling. So, I hope we understand kung ano ba talaga ang violence against women and kung pag-aaralan natin. Please try to read and anyway, kasali ito doon sa ating ibibigay na PDF. Material nyo ito. ito palang material na ito ay gawa ng isang or pinag-prepare ito ng isang abogado na VAWC expert dito sa Naga City or Camarines Sur. Siguro kilala ng iba ng kasamahan natin na iba, si Attorney Ike Albao. Kaya lang po, he is now with the Lord. Ano po? So marami tayong mga pinag-a-acknowledge namin yan kasi sa kanya itong ginawang material. Then we are using it sa i-inform or pagbibigay kaalaman tungkol sa 9262. So that ends our series of learnings for this day, 5 days training. Kung may mga may mga clarification or may gustong itanong, paki-flash na lang po sa ating chat box para masagot natin.
Okay po, we welcome po yung inyong mga comments, clarifications, at kung may gusto po kayong i-share,
yes.
magmula po dun sa topic natin nung first day hanggang ngayon po na araw. So meron po mga nag-post sa ating comments box. May i-share si Sir Chris. What will I do? Sabi niya dun sa last slide mo, yung question mo.
What will I do?
First, know the law, though it is very challenging to remember the details of the law. So basically, I will practice respect and encourage everyone to practice respect in all our activities, especially if we have time to plan. I will include in the table the gender mainstreaming.
Yes, sir. I think you are now, kung titingnan natin yung yung overview, ang pinaka-output natin dito sa training na ito ay commitment. Your personal commitment to be God advocates. Thank you very much, Sir Chris. Sana magkita tayo, sir. Tutuwa ako sa mga niyo.
Okay, meron din po si Gab. Dissemination of info regarding violence against women, specifically the punishments, as this will help every individual to be more cautious about their actions.
Yes, thank you po.
And another one, si Sir Chris ulit, I strongly believe, though, that it is easier said than done.
Yes.
When it comes to people fighting and defending their rights, such as women. We need a paradigm shift even in our schools. In schools, students are indoctrinated to be followers and not thinking individuals who are responsible for their self-preservation and enrichment and expecting and giving respect. If schools in general teach children and students to be more assertive, then we have additional virtue, quality that women will air.
Yes. Maganda, sir, yung ideas. Kaya nga, sir, lahat na agency dapat po magkaroon tayo ng God advocacy and implementation of God. Kasi sabi nga, ang pinaka magandang legacy kung ikaw ay nasa gobyerno or any branch of society, yung legacy mo, kung ano ang na-contribute mo sa iyong society or sa iyong grupo.
Okay, next, si Aki. Will uphold women and children's rights by knowing the laws that can protect them.
Yes, marami yan. Hindi lang yun RA 9262. We have the Children's Protection Center, we have the women's, maraming mga laws na nag-aano niyan. Kung sa opisina naman, dapat alam natin po yung yung sexual harassment, Republic Act 7877. Try to know, kasi doon sa sexual harassment, dapat nga po may kayo doon. I-remind ko lang po yung mga opisinang hindi pa nakapag ng CODI. It is also one of the requirements.
Okay, galing naman kay Sarah. We need to encourage everyone to show concern, lalo na sa mga kababaihan na inaabuso. mga bata na nawawalan ng karapatan para maging malaya.
Yes.
And another one, mas binibigyan kasing pansin ang kababaihan kasi mas mahina tayo, especially kapag sa physical strength.
No, hindi naman po. Ako ngayon, hindi ko ina-accept na I am, sabi nga, kasi nasanay tayo na pagbabae mahina. Or sometimes sabi nila second class citizen. Yan ang paniniwala. So yan ang isang bagay na dapat ma-overcome na natin. Turuan natin yung mga bata na hindi pala, kasi doon lang po sa mga textbooks natin nung ako sa kapanahunan ko. Ang ano doon, anong trabaho ng nanay mo? Sa bahay lang. Ano ang tatay mo? Police. Oh. So doon lang culturally talaga affected tayo. Ano po? So sana tayo lahat turuan natin ang mga kasama natin na hindi ganyan ang ano. Kasi lahat tayo may potential para sa ating sa ating society. Tama yun, ma'am. Kaya nga may mandato lalo na po sa DepEd and CHED i-revise yung curricular materials, yung mga teaching materials nila para mabago na rin yung nasa isip lang yan na mahina tayo.
That we are empowered. So, kay Cyrus naman, I'm going to organize GAD in our community, disseminate information to them, orient the community about VAW, to eliminate gender discrimination in the entire world.
Thank you, sir, for your commitment.
Oh, world na napag-usapan natin dito.
Oo, kasi hindi naman tayo ang
Pero international issue kasi ang gender and
development. Maganda ako may human index, makikita kung pero ang alam ko ang Philippines ay number 9 or 4 yung latest sa human index on GAD.
Okay?
Hindi tayo masyadong nahuhuli.
Opo, my question from Reg. Do we have shelters or places where these abused women can go? If yes, until when could they stay there?
Ayan po ay responsibility ng kanya-kanyang munisipyo. They have to provide. Pero alam ko may maraming munisipyong may shelter for abused women and children. Meron na po. Kasi isa yan sa mandato.
O may mga alam din talaga ako na meron.
Meron na sila.
Mga shelters.
Ito, meron pa.
So, kay Crystal Joy, knowledge related sa VAWC makakatulong para magkaroon ng lakas ng loob kung ang isa ay nakararanas ng iba't iba pang pang-aabuso. Kaya maganda na wala ako.
Maganda na basahin natin.
Maganda po talaga na magkaroon ng mga ganitong seminar.
Yes.
Locally, hindi mga naaabuso ang magiging aware.
Yes.
Naaabuso.
Kasi ang una kasi dapat alam natin ang karapatan. And mas maganda ka ito po ang sinasuggest ko sa mga local o sa mga barangay officials. Marami tayong mga synchronous meetings. You can invite a speaker on specific topics na mag-discuss niyan sa barangay assembly kasi mas marami ang matututo, ang makakarinig. Hindi lang yun na pagdating sa assembly, lahat, excuse me. Karamihan kasi ang agenda, puro na lang accomplishment report, magre-report si ganito, magpiprepare ng financial report. So, pwede naman po na idagdag nyo sa agenda, mag-invite kayo ng mga resource person. Alam ko marami na kayong mga marurunong dyan sa barangay or you can invite other agencies na at least magbigay ng orientation on important topics.
Okay, galing naman kay Ma'am Perlin. First thing to do is to let the family be aware of their rights and the VAWC, lalo na sa mga anak na babae, para alam nila kung paano din nila poprotektahan ang sarili bukod sa proteksyon ng batas through RA 9262. Ikalawa is to share to the neighborhood business.
Yes, thank you, Perlin.
JG naman, Ma'am, does PCW distribute brochures leaflets, flyers discussing RA 9262 in schools, universities, NGAs, and NGOs.
Supposed to be, ang mga schools at ibang universities, at least sana meron silang ano yan. Pwede din yan i-insert sa mga ano nila. May mga subject. Meron daw sa ibang ano. CBC, meron yan.
Meron din
Pero kung hindi lahat, dapat po gawin ano. Kasi marami, lalo na sa mga schools, universities, lalo na po dun sa Magna Carta of Women, yung rolling doon na hindi na pwedeng tanggalin ang estudyante na nabuntis outside of marriage. Ano po? So, maganda po na meron talaga. Hindi naman po nangangailangan na magkaroon ng ganito ng klaseng training, nakakago tayo, ano. So, hindi naman ito masyadong gastos sa mga schools. And isa pa, mandato talaga po na magkaroon sila ng GAD mainstreaming or gender mainstreaming.
Okay, galing naman kay Ma'am Michelle. Sana every barangay or bayan may training or seminar para magkaroon ng kaalaman ang mga bawat pamilya tungkol sa kanilang karapatan, lalaki man o babae, para maiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng sakitan na nagsasanhi ng pagkasira ng pamilya.
Dapat po, sabi ko na nga, it is a mandate to all government instrumentalities. Sa barangay po talagang ano yan, mandato and other agencies, kasi andyan ang umpisa, andyan ang karamihan ng mga pang-aabuso. So, siguro kayo po, ma'am, or tayo mga sabi ko nga, we are all now GAD advocates, pwede nating kumustahin ang ating mga barangay officials, pwede naman na, pero may mga barangay officials po, or mga, dito sa Bicol region, lahat pong regional level ng karoon na ng regional level trainings ang DILG on the basic GAD concepts. In fact, isa kami sa team na kasama doon sa nag-train.
Okay, galing kay Flapper. I think discussions of VAWC and other related laws are also important discussions in agricultural and rural communities. Sana ma-incorporate din ito in some trainings given to them, kasi this is also one way of empowering women and other minorities.
True. Dapat po talaga. Mayroon niyan. Ito pa si Sir.
CJ.
More
than teaching the family regarding GAD and VAWC, it may also help to invite and encourage the younger generation, such as college students, to be involved in training and seminars related to gender, so that they may be involved in active in the advocacy at an earlier stage. I am part of the pioneer officers that created a SEDAW student organization in one of our country's colleges, and our first project was our campaign for VAW to end VAW. This is our advocacy page. It helped our schoolmates.
CJ, thank you. CJ, taga saan siya? Saan siya?
Quezon ba si CJ?
Saang, Quezon po? Very good. Sana ipagpatuloy natin and sana ma-multiply yan sa iba-ibang paaralan at iba-ibang sangay ng ating ahensya. Si CJ, taga saan?
I think si CJ from Quezon.
Quezon?
Si
College student siya or nasa agency?
So, Rio naman, this is a good call to act and inform the people at the office and our clients.
Yes, it is our target clienteles and stakeholders for this GAD. Kasi sila ang una nating sila ang dapat serve natin. But wag nating kalimutan yung mandato ng ating ahensya. Ano po? Kasi pag nagawa na tayo ng GAD plan, naka-anchor tayo doon kung ano ang mandato nyo, yung vision and vision ng respective agencies.
Kay Ellie naman, it is wrong to say that women are protected because we are weak. Gender is about assigned roles.
Yes.
Women have become a focus because of our continued marginalization.
Yes, sa GAD kasi umpisa, talagang women, dahil doon sa mga violence na na-experience ng women. Pero pag dumating na equal na ang treatment and all the activities and plans and programs na-obtain na natin, siguro parang pareho na yun dito na new normal na. Ano po, normal na yung gawain natin sa lahat nating pagpaplano.
Sir Chris, there are non-profit organizations also for abused women and children. Non-profit organizations also.
Oo,
for
meron
abused
din.
women and children.
Maraming mga CSOs and other organizations na concerned about ang pinaka nila ay ma-protect at ma-institutionalize ang human rights.
Okay, Bridget, first time to attend GAD. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Marami po akong natutunan since the first day until now. It helps a lot for me as a woman and a wife.
Salamat.
Thank you po sa pag-appreciate. Next one, Miss Officer. Pwede po bang mag-report ng VAWC case sa different LGU kahit na hindi doon nangyari yung actual case?
Siguro mas maganda doon na sa hindi ako masyadong on the filing. Ang alam ko sino lang ang pwede naman natin itanong ito sa mga abogado kasi may mga pagdating kasi sa mga kaso na that requires hindi ako masyadong on the jurisdiction of cases. Siguro ang usually po baga kung saan nangyari ang kaso doon magpa-file.
Hindi pwedeng doon
Hindi pwedeng doon sa ibang
How about Bridget ulit? How about kapag lalaki naman po ang naabuso? Since may batas po sa kababaihan, paano naman po kaya itong ganitong sitwasyon? Sabi ko nga kanina, pwede nating akusahan din yung, halimbawa, babae ang nang abuso sa lalaki using may mga dati na tayong penal code or revised penal code. Kung sinaktan yung lalaki, pwede mong iakusa yung babae on yung gagamitin mo yung physical injury. Physical injury. May mga batas na din po. Yung mga usual na laws to protect yung karapatan ng mga lalaki at babae din. Hindi naman pwedeng sinasaktan yung lalaki, hindi natin aaksyonan Pero dapat mag-report o mag-file. Ang tanong ko diyan, bakit sinaktan yung lalaki? Ma'am, sinaktan ako kagabi ng asawa ko. Sabi ko, bakit sinaktan ka? Natawa. Di tayo dito kasi ibig sabihin po, may batas din para sa mga lalaki. Hindi one-sided, dapat patas. Pantay ang pag-treat sa mga citizens. Si CJ po ay graduated from Miriam College sa Quezon City.
Ay, wow. Miriam College is very, maraming, siya ang institution na talagang ng GAD. In fact, marami silang mga programs. Lagi ako nakaka-receive ng invitation galing sa Miriam College. May grupo dyan yung mga women studies, yung mga advocates on women.
Okay. Galing po kay Christine, paano naman po kapag yung mismong authorities ang lumalabag sa VAWC? Paano po ang process dito? Parehas
na process. Hindi exempted po. Porque boss ka, ikaw na. Ang ikaso mo ay sexual harassment. Saka yung kung sa office usually ang diyan yung anti-sexual harassment.
Anong Republic Act?
Republic Act 7877. Kaya nga ang mandated ang national government agencies to establish CODI. Kasi sexual harassment usually happens in the office. Sexual harassment. Kaya hindi ko dala yung ko. Meron akong niyan. Paki-research na lang po yung 7877.
Okay po, kay Ma'am Sarah. Thank you for amazing and very knowledgeable distance training, especially for women like us. Now we can stand by our own. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward for more online training like this. More power, ATIB ko sa
Ate, sagutin mo
Salamat
yan.
po, Miss Sarah.
Thank you. Hindi pa ito, dapat mag-continue pa kayo ng mga specialized training, lalo po pag nasa NGAs tayo or working with the local government units. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, please, Sir Franco. I am organizing an educational discussion online to involve the academe and representatives from PCW.
Wow, sasayin eh.
This is because there are alarming reports of sexual violence and domestic abuse during
Yes,
quarantine.
dapat na i-report yan.
Also, it is disturbing that children are being used in sexual exploitation through cyber sex activities during the quarantine. That is why we aim to raise awareness of the public on these issues.
Yes, thank you, sir. At least, alam mo kung ano ang dapat natin gawin. Kasi sabi ko nga, noon talaga wala tayong pakialam niyan. Pero ngayon, lahat tayo may karapatan at responsibilidad na asikasuhin yung mga kasong ganyan.
Thank you, ATIB po. Sarabay kita.
Thank you po.
Okay,
Sir, excuse me. Sir,
Yes.
taga saan po si sir? Si Franco? Academe ay...
Pa-comment na lang po.
Pa-comment na lang po. Thank you, sir, for your courage to do that thing. Ano po?
Okay, Ma'am Christine. Paano naman po kapag mismong mga otoridad ang nag-commit? Ayun, nabasa na natin pa kanina.
Ulitin ko ang sagot yan. Wala naman exception to the rule. All perpetrators should be punished. Ano po? The more nga na pag otoridad, the more na ipakita natin sa kanila na mali ang ginagawa.
Si Sir Franco po ay from UP Los Baños.
Wow, sir.
Kay Ma'am Fatima naman.
Sir, may mga ano sa UP Los Baños, may mga ano kami dyan, kabatch. If you can contact Ma'am Helen Dayo. She is on Women's Studies. And siguro si Lorena.
Okay po, kay Ma'am Fatima. Thank you for the comprehensive training. I would just like to ask, are women prisoners given or provided with GAD trainings? How do we accommodate the evolving concerns of women behind the bars? There was a recent report in Quezon City where 2 detainees were raped by the police.
Oh. Kung ano yan, ma'am, first, gawa na ng aksyon na i-file ang case or isumbong yung mga pulis. Kasi mali yan. That is violence. Maski, kahit na walang God, that is a violence. Na mang-rape ka ng ibang tao. Ano po? Pipilitin mo nga, is an abuse, iyan pang ginawa mo ang crime na yan. So, dapat po talaga, ano natin.
Okay, kay Ma'am Jaisel, thank you so much po sa pag-share ng knowledge sa amin. I learned a lot po. God bless.
Thank you po. Sana po, it would not end on this 5 days training. Natutuwa ako kasi we have come up to yung talagang pinaka-goal natin ng training na ito ay our commitment na maipalaganap po ang God advocacy.
Any other po? Pwede po kayong
Pasok.
Pasok.
Just click the link na ilalagay po sa comments box. Kung meron po kayong gustong i-share live, pwede naman po.
May nakuha po akong isang ngayong COVID. May mga nakuha tayong mga food for thoughts. Sabi nga, may 3 bagay na importante sa ating buhay. Sabi nga daw, we must be all positive. Not positive in COVID. Positive in our daily activity, in our practice, positive in our thoughts. Ang ikalawa daw, we should be grateful. We should be grateful, particularly and especially to God. Kasi hanggang ngayon, we are all safe and healthy. And last daw, having this time, or kahit na yung ordinary times natin, kasi ngayon, kinoconsider natin yung normal na. Nakuha ko ito sa isa naming speaker sa isang group. And sabi niya, we have to share our tatlong T. Ano ba yung tatlong T? We have to share our time, talent, and treasure. Ano po? Huwag tayong madamot sa mga ating natutunan. Pwede nating i-share ito sa ating mga kaopisina, sa ating barangay, sa ating pamilya. Most especially to our family. Kasi walang, sabi ko nga, kung anong klaseng pamilya we have in the community reflect the kind of society we are in. Ano po? So sa mga nag-participate, sa mga nag-comment, I am very happy na at least very productive ang ating 5 days training. Yung mga sagot nyo doon sa exams, parang talaga, totoo, tunay yung pag-attend sa oras natin. So we can share our knowledge to others para po naman kahit paano ma-resolve o mabawasan ang pang-aabuso. Kasi nakikita natin yan kahit saan. So thank you for this 5 days training.
Meron pa po si Ma'am Michelle. Sa panahon ngayon, maraming lalaki na ang nabububog at dahil doon karamihan sa kalalakihan. Nagko-commit suicide. Ano po kaya ang magandang gawin para mabawasan ang bilang ng mga lalaking nagsisuicide dahil sa pananakit ng kababaihan o kalalakihan? Anong batas ang pwede dito? Salamat po.
Kaya nga, ipaalam natin na kung may batas para sa mga kababaihan, mayroon ng batas, matagal ng existing yung batas na yan. Huwag kang matakot na iakusa ang sarili mong asawa or ang Ang tanong po, bakit nagsisuicide? Siguro hindi niya masyadong naiintindihan ang karapatan niya. Ano po? So, andun babalikan natin yung na at least dapat matuto sila ng karapatan nila bilang tao. Kawawa naman, ma-suicide.
Okay, galing kay Gia. Thank you for this 5-day distance training. If we participants are eager and interested to learn, then we should also be eager in educating others as well, because knowledge is meant to be shared and nurtured.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Sabi ko nga, you have to share your talent, your time, and your treasure.
Okay, mga words of pasasalamat. Thank you so much for the 5-day training, ATI Bicol and Ma'am Maris. So wala nang nag-question, Siguro
nag-aantay siguro kung graduate sila.
Well-informed. At marami na silang napulot sa 5 araw na pagsasama. So galing naman kay Ma'am Julie. Thanks a lot po. We did not only learn, but we all just prove that knowledge is everywhere.
It's a matter of interest and willingness.
Very true.
True yan. Talaga po. Kasi may mga na tayo, other media.
Hindi pa. Okay po. So kung wala na pong questions, before we proceed po sa ating
may graduation kayo.
Graduation, i-remind ko lang po bago po magsimula yung training, nagpadala po kami ng TNA at saka yung registration form or participants information sheet for you to be considered as official participant to this training. At sinabi po din namin na yung mga assessment, yung questionnaire sa mga daily assessment natin ay ibinibigay po namin din pagkatapos ng ating session for the week. So sana po lahat po yun ay na-answeran ninyo. Ngayon po ang magiging basihan natin for you to acquire yung inyong certificate of completion is your attendance at saka yung answers niyo po doon sa assessment natin daily. So malinaw po yan. So kung incomplete po kayo, it will only be a certificate of participation po. Okay po, so to wrap it up, sana po ay marami po kayong natutunan dito po sa naging 5 araw nating pagsasanay sa gender and development. Well, it is true po na malalim na usapin po ang about gender and development, and it entails po na yung malaking papalagana po ng informasyon regarding po dito. Lalong-lalo na po ngayon na tayo ay nasa panahon ng kwarantina, so yung ating pong pamilya ay buo po sa ating pamamahay. So maybe we can educate also our members of our families na about dito po sa gender and development and gender issues po na ating nararanasan po. Okay. So siguro po sa pagtutulungan po ng lahat ay maaari po nating maibsan ang mga issues po or biases na nangyayari po sa ating lipunan. Ano po? So tayo po na magiging graduates at yung mga nag-participate po dito sa ating pagsasanay, ay meron po din tayong, ano po yun? Yung role to disseminate yung information po. Ano? So alam ko po, kayo ay eager na mag-share ng informasyon kasi po kung hindi po kayo magkaka-interest na mag-participate po dito sa 5 araw na pagsasanay na ito at isinakripisyo nyo yung inyong 3 oras na pag-aantabay po sa kada araw. So maraming salamat po sa inyong partisipasyon po. Thank you so much, and let's all be GAD advocates. So now, base po sa inyong mga attendance at saka sa mga exams, 45 po ang magiging graduates po natin sa pagsasanay na ito. Okay po, so but before that, bago natin si Ma'am papasok, ano?
Okay na si Ma'am.
Okay na si Ma'am?
Okay, ready na.
Hindi. Pakinggan muna po natin yung mga impressions or expression of learning insights. Nag-invite po kami ng 3.
Ay, sige. I-mention mo, papasokin natin kung...
Oo. Yung 3 po na magbibigay ng kanilang impression or expression of learning insights. Ito po ay sila Ma'am Sarah Jane Ricanya, si Ma'am Norma Dasco, si Sir Chris Pablo, at saka po yung 3 po. So kung ninanais nyo po na kayo ay mag-share live, pwede po kayong pumasok or i-just click the link po para naman po makilala po kayo namin at ibigay po ang inyong expression of learning sites or impression sa naging 5 araw po nating pagsasanay.
Sino na po?
Hello po, sino po ang gustong mauna?
I-mention mo yung name po.
Pwede ko pang unahin si Ma'am Sarah Jane. Pwede ka pong pumasok sa i-click mo lang po yung link ng ATI Sarabay Channel.
Sige, mention mo po. Hindi pa siya pumapasok.
Sige, Ma'am.
Sarah Jane.
Ma'am Sarah Jane.
Si Ma'am Elsia. Nag-aanak na labas si Ma'am.
Si Ma'am Elsa.
Nahihirapan po ba? Si Sir Chris.
Kung sino ang available.
Si Ma'am Norma.
Baka nandun siya.
Baka
Wala? Nahihirapan?
Siguro nahihirapan po.
Nahihirapan sila pumasok? Okay po. So kung nahihirapan, pwede ko po bang basahin na lang yung inyong mga naipadalang, hindi natin pwede ma-flash sa
Can I have the hard copy?
Hard copy? Wala. Hard copy ng mga expressions.
pwede na lang i-post para
Hard copy.
Si Ma'am Julie May, nagpadala ng kanyang expression. Si Ma'am Julie May. Kibay. Si Ma'am Julie May, printed nito. Julie May Umali.
I already sent my impressions about the train. You can read it.
Impressions po.
Pwede daw basahin na lang, sabi ni Ma'am Jolie. Nasend ko na po sa email si Norma.
Okay, sandali lang po, ha? Yeah, sandali lang po kasi ipa-flash namin sa screen yung inyong pong mga naging impressions about the training. Ano?
Talaga.
Ito ba? Oh, ito.
This
Tapos
is from
basahin na
June,
lang.
This is from Sarah Jane.
Pwede
And
basahin na
this
lang.
is from Sir Chris.
Basahin na lang, anak. Tapos basahin mo.
So, nagkakaroon tayo ng Okay po, sandali lang po. May gusto po ba mag-share habang tayo ay...
Mahaba.
Sige. Okay. Sige, ma'am.
O, sino mauna? Pwede na i-flash sa screen yung ibang na.
Ito.
Pero basahin.
Oh. Ay, sorry. Paano ko babasa yan? Nasa kanya.
Distance learning.
Okay po. So, pasensya na po. Unahin po natin yung kay Ma'am Julie May Mali po. Siya po ay isang DepEd Teacher 3 from the Municipality of Ocampo, Camarines Sur. So, sabi niya po, learnings would not be this possible if we don't have this kind of training opportunities, but the willingness to learn is a choice. That's why we reach this far. This training opportunity is a wealth experience for me as grappling with sensitive issues about gender and development. The short training online course does not only attempt to inform every participant to understand concepts of gender and development, but it gives us a comprehensive understanding in dealing with these challenges and issues faced in different sectors and different parts of the world. This opportunity gives clear vision of our role in the society as we gain the learnings in the training. This training is not only a hollow information, but serve as a highlights of my personal perspective towards facing challenges ahead in the current global context for both advocates of participatory development and of gender equality. Being in this challenge of our society, we need to find ways to create more than just trainings and symbolic dialogue. And this requires not only a glossy certificate, but a dedication to empower, because the essence of this training cannot found in a piece of paper of the certificate, but in the transformation and distribution of learning, just like Steve Revington said that content without purpose is only a trivia. And we are not that kind of trainees who will make our learnings and insights just a plain trivia. The training will be effective and sustained when it is grounded in and driven by of the people working together, like the GAD experts, advocates, and like us who undergo this training, who aims to empower women's right and gender equality. The training gives me a learning in the different avenues, and this is an opportunity for me to start and gain on a flesh plate of learning of God that will help me to progress and grow in life and be of help to the agency I belong. Truly, that if we want to raise awareness of an issue, then we need to become open to learn and embrace change. With this, we will be one of the voices to the realities of the lives, especially to the rights of the marginalized groups. Always think that action with vision is making a positive difference. Thank you for this learning opportunity. It really boosts our awareness in God. Together we learn and share. Hashtag Women Empowerment. Hashtag God Advocate. Wow. From Julie May K. Umali. Salamat po, ma'am. Okay, next po is from... Medyo namamaos tayo. Kim Ma'am Sarah J. Ricana. Ma'am Sarah J. is a student from Mulanay, Quezon.
Quezon, yes.
Attending seminar has numerous benefits, including improving communication skills, gaining expert knowledge, and renewing motivation and confidence. Being one of the participants on distance training on
Gender
gender
and
and
development,
development,
I
I
can
can
call
call
myself
myself
a
a
successful
successful
distance
distance
learner
learner
because I gained a lot of knowledge about gender issues and the inequality of men and women in our society. Speakers generally realize that attendees expect to be entertained and inspired. In that case, they work towards on it. Thank you and God bless. From Sarah Jane Recanya of Quezon. Okay, next is from Sir Chris Pablo. He is
is
a
a
life
life coach
coach and
and
media
media
rights
writing
director
director
of the
of the
Love
Love
Life Project
Project
in
in
Quezon
Quezon
City.
City.
My
My
name
name
is
is
Crisaldo
Crisaldo
Pablo,
Pablo,
and
and
I
I
am
am
a
a
television
television
and
and
movie director, as well as the founder and creative executive director of the Love Life Project for Health and Environment Incorporated, a nonprofit media and marketing organization where we do a lot of trainings and workshops for the youth and for government and private agencies. Many of us are only quite aware of gender and development as a program or department in government agencies. And in my case, I have gone through and conducted SOGI workshops. And I must say, only when I took the distance training on GAD with special topics on VAWC did I really understand the concepts and principles behind GAD and why and how it can be applied to every company, community, and in the household for true equality and equity for every member. With the technical information, though, I could have enjoyed it more if we had a face to face workshop and interactions. I was able to grasp in the 5 days course the salient points of the Magna Carta on women, the laws and case studies, and how it can be applied in our day to day lives. I salute ATI Bicol, the mentors and facilitators for a job well done. In this regard, I take now this opportunity to propose that you offer as well SOGI and perhaps an advanced online workshop for trainers on GAD. You have taught people in the agriculture and have reached to other Filipinos from other industries as well. Congratulations. Thank you so much, Sir Chris Pablo. Okay,
Okay,
next
next
is
is from Norma
Dasco.
Dasco.
She is
She
a
is a
CEO,
CEO,
a
a
good
person
person of
of
Camarines
Camarines
Norte
Norte
Federation
Federation
of
of
Cooperative
Cooperative Provincials
Camarines
Camarines
Norte.
Norte.
Good morning, my fellow advocates. Napakalaking karangalan po ang maimbitahan na maging isang participant sa training na ito. Naiiba kasi first time ko pong makalahok sa isang pagsasanay na online at hindi mo makikita ang iyong mga kasamahan o kaklase man lang sa pagsasanay. Marami na rin po akong nadalahang pagsasanay sa GAD, mapa, lokal or international man. Pero sa tuwing umaattend po ako, may lagi akong bagong natutunan. Ang usaping gender and development ay napakalalim at kailangan na masusing pagpaplano para maging matagumpay ang implementasyon nito. Pero naniniwala po ako na ang susi para maging matagumpay ang isang individual, pamilya at organisasyon ay sa pamamagitan ng gender inclusivity. Malayo pa ang tatahakin natin sa larangan ng gender. Napakagalak po ako or nagagalak po ako rather at magaling po ang ating resource speaker. Hindi po boring ang discussion. Very knowledgeable po si Ma'am Maris sa topic. Ang mga kasamahan ko po naman mga participants ay very participative at maaga pa lang naka-standby na agad sa live streaming. Kudos sa ATI for having this kind of training. Congratulations po sa lahat at kita-kita kits po sa mga susunod pang training. Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Norma Dasco. Okay po, at this point, pakinggan naman po natin ang isang response at mensahe po ng aming Butihing Center Director na si Ma'am Elsa A. Parot.
Yes. Good morning po sa ating lahat. Good morning, Mama Riz, and ano pa ba si team? Actually po, ako ay nasa isang kwarto din lang dito sa ATI, Bicol, at pinakikinggan ko ang lahat ng binasa ni Techi, yung sa mga impressions. Natutuwa po kami sa ATI Bicol na first time po namin ito ginawa. Yung online distant learning. Kasi nga po, kailangan, naniniwala kami sa ATI na nung nangyari ang new normal, ang una talagang tatamaan at ang unang tinamaan ay yung mandato namin na magbigay ng impormasyon. Dahil po, sanay kami ng face-to-face. Sa new normal, bawal na ang face-to-face dahil we should really have to have physical distancing. So naisip namin, anong gagawin natin? Kailangan continuous pa rin ang pagsagawa ng ating mandato dahil naniniwala kami sa ATI na learning never stops. So sa punto po ng pagsubok na hinaharap natin, nakakita kami ng oportunidad na ipagpatuloy pa rin ang aming mandato dahil lahat ng tao halos nasa bahay, naka-social media. So sabi namin, ride on tayo, mag-social media tayo, mag-online tayo. Kaya po, maswerte yung aming mga participants ngayon. Kasi kayo yung mga talagang first graduates. Alam ko, 87 yata kayo, na talagang very first graduates of our online distance learning modality. So palakpakan nyo mga sarili nyo. Palakpak din po sa ATI dahil naitawid namin. Ito po ay siguro alam nyo na may mga technical glitches kasi po first time talaga namin. First time namin sumubok kasi ang sabi nga namin, pag hindi natin susubukan, hindi natin alam kung gagana o hindi. So, dahil po naandyan kayo, bilib ako sa inyo, 5 days. 5 days talaga nakikita ko sa thread na minsan mga maaga pa nagche-check na ng attendance. So sinimulate lang po namin yung normal namin na ginagawa sa face-to-face, ginawa namin online. Sabi ko, wag nating i-compromise yung integrity at quality na binibigay natin sa ATI trainings. Kailangan ko ano yung nakasanayan natin na standards, ilagay din natin sa ODL. Kasi ang challenge po sa online, ang iba dyan nawawala na, ang iba ay pasulpot-sulpot lang. So sabi ko, kailangan paghirapan din nila as much as pinaghihirapan natin kung paano natin gagawin itong training, ay puhunanan din nila ng hirap. Yung certificate na marireceive nyo. Kaya po tuwang-tuwa kami kasi talaga naman, may talagang ang daming nagstay on. Sabi namin, siguro nga talaga interesting at saka congratulations po talaga sa mga participants kasi kayo talaga yung may certificate din nakakaiba. Hindi katulad ng normal naming binibigay sa face-to-face. Pero bago po makalimutan, hindi po mangyayari ang lahat kung hindi po dahil sa talaga namang napakasipag at napakagaling nating resource person. Ma'am Marie, saludo po. Salamat po talaga dahil maraming natutunan yung ating mga participants tungkol sa gender and development sa VAWC. At higit sa lahat, ito pong training na to very unique din. Pinagmamalaki namin ito. Dahil ito yung first ever ATI trainings. I-claim namin yan. First ever in the network of training centers sa ATI na may training kami na merong sign language interpreter. Team, maraming salamat at marami pa tayong engagements. Kasi inisip din namin habang binubuo namin itong konseptong ito, na dahil visually ay makikita. So siguro yung ating mga physically challenge na mga kasamahan na manunood, pero medyo hindi nila maririnig, ay dapat ay maintindihan nila through our sign language interpreter. At isa pa po, sabi ko nga kanina, kailangan magaya talaga namin yung classroom setting, although hindi tayo nakikita-kita. So meron din interactive question and answer and reaction segment. So siguro po kung kayo ay natutuwa, mas tuwang-tuwa kami dahil tinangkilik nyo yung aming sinasabi naming eksperimento. Pero hindi na eksperimento ngayon. Kayo po ang nagbigay sa amin ng validation at ng lakas ng loob na gumawa ng mga ganito pang trainings sa mga susunod na taon, COVID man o hindi COVID. Ang ATI po ay meron ng e-extension modality na online din, pero po ito dinagdagan namin ng interactive component. So siguro po, sabi ko nga, pagka may ganyang pagsubok, laging merong positive na lalabas sa pagsubok. At ito yung tiningnan namin sa ATI. Hindi kami nagpatalo, although walang physical distancing, ang sabi namin, ay hindi naman bawal ang socialization through social media. So sa lahat po ng ating mga graduate, maraming salamat, congratulations, at tulungan nyo din po ako na palakpakan at pasalamatan ang aking mga kasamahan sa ATI Bicol sa pangunguna ni Techi na siyang project officer. Si Techi po yung nakikita nyo lagi sa screen. Si Techi at saka yung mga behind the scenes, kung alam nyo lang, marami sila. Palakpakan po naman nyo sila, katulad na pagpalakpak ko sa kanila. Maraming salamat dahil ang lahat na ito ay sama-samang pagtrabaho at pagsusumikap ng taga-ATI Bicol. Kami po ay isa sa 16 ATI centers nationwide, regional offices nationwide. So pinatotohanan lang po namin na sa Agricultural Training Institute, yung shout out namin should be excellent extension services beyond boundaries. Tinulungan po kami ng cases ng COVID na yung beyond boundaries ay maging beyond Philippine boundaries. So congratulations everyone. Salamat po sa mga inyong pagtangkilik at sa inyong impressions. And together, we heal as one. At salamat ang lagi po naming sinasabi, kung kayo po ay nakapag-training sa ATI, huwag nyo naman sarilinin yung inyong natutunan, i-share po ninyo. Hoard as much knowledge, but only to share. Because sabi nga kanina ni Mama Riz, really, knowledge is everywhere. And we believe in ATI that learning should never stop. But again, learning is a choice. And the 87 graduates have chosen to learn. So hoard knowledge and share it among others also. Good morning. Congratulations, Team ATI Bicol Sarabay. Congratulations, everyone. Mama Riz and Ma'am T, and Sir Team, salamat po ng marami. Congratulations also. With that, Diyos mabalos, maray na aga sa tuya. Gabos. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So at this point, punta na po tayo dun sa ating distribution of certificates. So meron po tayong 45 naka-comply po ng training. And for others, marireceive nyo po ang inyong certificate of participation. So para po, yung gusto po malaman kung paano nyo po makukuha yung inyong certificate, just PM po si Bay sa aming ATI FB page. Doon sa comments box po, kung paano po yung instructions para po makuha nyo yung inyong certificates. Okay po, una po nating bibigyan ng certificate si Ma'am Ana Crisela Reforma Marquez. Congratulations, ma'am. Naka-flash na ba sa ating screen? Ayan. Kay Ma'am Ana Crisela Reforma Marquez. Congratulations, ma'am. Next, we have Aurora Katrina Y. Alcacid. Congrats po. Next, Bridget V. Pahalya. Congrats. Roderick S. Sapno. Camille C. Uri. Charmaine D. Baisa. Kristen V. Romero. Christopher R. Magpayo. Chriselle Ramiroso Gonzalez. Rizaldo V. Pablo. Desiree M. Pilleja. Eleanor De Leon. Erika Kahanap Arenal. Sulaim Erika Cruz Manzano. Eunice Tabitha B. Trinidad. Farah Christine S. Sherba. Fatima Gay Hamilosa Molina. Fernando Victor Aldaban Manica III. Flapper Gershwin Manuel. Frances Christine Mangali Crisostomo. Frederick Rocafort Pandilla. Jaime Anakita Aquilo. Jasir P. Bebing. Jamie Gracie Bicarme. Hazel R. Carrayas. Jenica Linda Manlangit. Johanna Buenbraza Samonte. Julie May J. Umali. Karen Obrado Flores. Katrina Tan Liwag. Ken Zyrene Ray Regenza. Crystal Joy G. Babarientos. Christine Marie Tahong Miranda. Limuel John Cayas Nunez. Marie Emmanuel Bunoan Kiblatin. Mariela Baca Luis. Mary Angeline Fortaleza de Leon. Mercy O. Manalo. Michelle A. Devida. Nenita P. Taasin. Norma Faliore Dasco. Perlin A. Ongkit. Violin L. Gin. Sarah Jane Ordaza Recanya. And City Alnea Kundog Hadis Sokor. Okay, para po sa Certificate of Participation, we have... Ay, hindi pa po na-print. I'm sorry po. Pero gagawa po kami ng Certificate of Participation ng mga iba po natin na participants.
Binigay camera mo. Ikaw. Nag-award certificate. Oo. Sabay naman siguro.
I-mention ko na lang po yung may mga Certificate of Participation ay sina Annalyn Canaco, Buenafe Fernandez, Cherry May Gayeta, Crystal Jane Pesalbon, Cyrus O. Ogorida, Dino Dance, Elmar Casano, Eman Apelocchio, Ferdinand Glorioso, Gia Damocol, Glenda Luisaga, Honorio de la Peña, Isaac Joshua Alfon, Ivan Angeles, John Flores, John Francia, John Kenneth Benayado, Josephine Haushan, Catherine Halili, Lovely Jane Kakal, Maria Ferrio Dilla, Maria Teresa de la Cruz, Maria Levinia Mitra, Marian Olegado, Maricel Roloyan, Melboy Rogelio, Miabela Rivera, Michelle Ann Ponagaling, Mikey Ortez, Mila Rose Pedregal, Oliver Astilla, Princess May Aurinto, Ramona Riñeses, Raquel Albasan, Regina Shelley Punzalan, Rica May Amaro, Richard Castaños, Reshelyn Ebora, Roland Dane Carrion, Romel Evangelista, Rosana Puyos, Rowena Hernandez, Rianel Idesio, Charlene Volontad, Sherla May Volontad, Siti Rama Hajisokor, Trisha Ladislao, Ulysses Michael C. Bores, and Mr. William Nunez. Okay, at this point, basahin naman po natin ang ating Certificate of Appreciation sa ating pong naging resource person sa 5 araw na pagsasanay at sa ating pong sign language interpreter. So basahin ko muna po. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Training Institute, Regional Training Center 5, Diversion Road, San Agustin, Pili, Camarines Sur, awards this Certificate of Appreciation to for sharing her knowledge and expertise as resource person during the conduct of distance training on GAD with special topic on VAWC during the COVID-19 pandemic conducted on June 1 to 5 at ATI RTC 5 San Agustin, Pili, Camarines Sur, given this 5th day of June 2020. Signed, Elsa A. Parrot, Center Director. And this is awarded to our resource person, Ma'am Maristela T. Santi. Okay po. Next is for sharing his expertise as sign language interpreter during the conduct of distance training on GAD during the COVID-19 pandemic conducted on June 1 to 5 at ATRTC 5. This is awarded to Mr. Timothy Favis. Okay, thank you so much, Ma'am, Maris, and team. Sa uulitin. Okay po. At this point, nagpapasalamat po kami sa inyong partisipasyon sa 5 araw po naming pagsasanay at sa ngalan po ng bumubuo ng ATI Bicol at ATI Bicol Sarabay Channel, kami po ay nagpapasalamat at learn at home, keep safe everyone. Diyos mabalas po at thank you so much.